What's up guys, it's Wacko. Welcome you to a different type of video. Today I'm going to be talking about some Mega Evolutions in Draft and how I think they fare against the rest of the meta and I don't know, I guess just over how good they are. Um, so I guess starting off, my hot take is I think most Megas are kind of garbage. Um, They're forced to run Mega Stones, they can't hold boots, they can't run leftovers, life orb, choice items. Um, Especially choice scarf, I think, is the biggest deal. So my hot take is I think most Megas are ass, and I guess we'll see if that ends up being true. So I'm just gonna rank these in like a random order. I'm also not gonna include most of the Megas that are typically banned. So obviously you got stuff like Mega Lucario, Gengar, Blaziken that are banned. Um, I also, I think I'm gonna include Zam and Lattos. So I'm actually gonna get those out of the way first. I think Zam and Lattos, I'm gonna put them both in C tier. At least I think that's Latios. If it's Latios, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna assume it's Latios. Zam is just, it's not bulky at all. It can't run an item. Um, it's super weak to Sucker Punch and like Aqua Jet, Bullet Punch. So it's just kind of broken down by like priority and just any physical attack in general. So if a Mon can take an attack from Alakazam, then Zam will just die, which I think is unfortunate. In this meta, there's not a lot of switching out and switching around, so Zam just kind of not good. Latios, kind of same deal. Latios has a lot of weaknesses. Same speed tier as regular Latios, and I think regular Latios makes more use out of running stuff like Soul Dew, Choice Specs, Choice Scarf, Weakness Policy, Soul Dew, and I think overall that's just stronger than Latios. So while Mega Latios has a better like defensive profile with its stats, regular Latios is just better. And like if you want a defensive version, you can run Latias just the same. Latias can still run Draco Meteor, Stored Power, Calm Mind, Agility, Weakness Policy. So yeah, that's my hot take. So I'm just gonna leave those two there. I'm gonna do Mega Metacham next, I guess. I'm gonna put this one at S because I got Trailblaze this gen, so its base 100 speed is like not really a problem anymore. It outspeeds a lot of choice scarfers like Crook, or even like other plus oneers like Kiram, for example, which is pretty cool. I've even seen this thing like 5-0 someone while being burned because huge power is just that huge on it. Base 100 attack, like, it's not strong, but it's also not like weak, so you can still use it even if it's like burned. But the thing is you have to actually burn it first. So yeah, very strong Mega. It should be banned honestly, but it's whatever. I would rather see Alakazam and Latios than Metacham. I think Latios is being more allowed though, so I don't know. Pidgeot, kind of bottom of C tier. I think Pidgeot is a little bit. I think it's perfectly rated. Like, it's like what 10 points usually. It's kind of weak to rocks, but Nogar Hurricane's pretty cool. But the thing with Pidgeot though is it only has like 3 usable moves. Like it gets Hurricane, Heat Wave, and U-turn. I can't think of any other move it would run. If it got Hyper Voice, it would be a little bit better, I think. But overall, like it just doesn't have a lot of tools. But what it does do is pretty decent. But it isn't really that strong. I also don't really think it gets like set up or anything. So in terms of being like a Hurricane spammer, like Galarian Moltres gets more out of like Nasty Plot, or even like a Berserker boosted Hurricane. But Pidgeot's niche is that it doesn't miss, which also means that it can't dodge anything. so it's gonna get destroyed by every Stone Edge, every like Zap Cannon even, because Zap Cannon feels like a weird coverage move that like non-electric types get sometimes, like Starmie. So you're gonna get murdered by those Zap Cannons and shit. Heracross. I'm gonna put Heracross at like top of C tier. I just think this mon's worse than regular Heracross. That's kind of all I have to say. Like it gets Trailblaze now, which people initially thought was gonna be kind of broken, but it's just not fast enough to use Trailblaze and then outspeed everything consistently while also being able to take hits. It is bulky, so like it usually takes a hit, but its weaknesses are very common. You got Fairy, Psychic, Flying weakness, Fire. A lot of special attacking types. And special defense isn't like amazing, I don't think. Or is its physical defense, it's not great. I mean, even then, like, a lot of those types can hit physically. You got like Psyshock, Play Rough, Brave Bird, Flare Blitz. So still have to deal with those on the physical side too, regardless. It's just, I don't know. I think Mega Heracross is just worse than regular Heracross. I think you'd rather get that base 85 speed with an item. Plus, you don't want to burn a regular Heracross because of guts, so regular Heracross is just a little bit stronger, but Mega Heracross is cool because Skill Link, I will say. Trying to find the B tier mon on this list. Mega Steelix I'm gonna put at B tier. It's gonna be like the bottom of B tier by the end of this, but I do think it's a B tier. Steel ground typing is just pretty good offensively. Even defensively, it's like pretty decent. Same typing as Excadrill. You also get Gyro Ball and like Earthquake, which are strong moves. Fire Fang coverage, Rock Slide, Stone Edge. Set up Curse, Stealth Rock, just a decent Mega that's pretty reliable and usually like pretty cheap compared to like Aggron, who I'm also gonna put at B tier. Like these are basically like very similar mons, just one has the added ground typing, which is kind of sometimes it's worse for it, sometimes it's a little bit better. Because typically, I mean, you don't like your steals. Or you don't like your ground types to be weak to fire, but it's not that bad. You probably also don't want your steel type to be weak to water either, but that's just the price you pay sometimes. But I did win a chip with Mega Steelix, so I have to have that attachment in there somewhere. Scizor, I'm going to put at A tier. I guess I should talk about Aggron. Aggron, kind of the same thing as Steelix. It's a little bit faster, so you can make use out of like a Totemize or Rock Polish sets. And you get a lot out of Heavy Slam, which is nice. Filter's a really good ability on it too, because it's so physically defensive, and then even on the special side, it can take hits a little bit better because of Filter. Which is pretty nice, because you can kind of just make this a Spadef tank too. And investing physically just doesn't really change anything. Plus, it's still like what, base 145 attack? Pretty strong. Scizor though, Scizor is what I would call like the unfun Mega, because it's just Scizor again with better stats. But the thing though, I would kind of think that regular Scizor is a little bit more of a utility mon, because regular Scizor can run items like Life Orb, Choice Band, Choice Scarf, Leftovers, Akaberry. It can run more moves too. Like regular Scizor can run like Natural Gift in Nat Dex, and I think Natural Gift is a really good move on Scizor because it can handle stuff like Ferrothorn and even like Mega Scizor because it can Natural Gift the Akaberries and shit, which I think is pretty cool. I mean, just like a strong physical move that you can make any type on a Scizor is just pretty good. But Mega Scizor can't do that. Mega Scizor, though, is a better defensive mon. It can wall like Tapu Lele, Kyurem. It's just kind of anti-fun, and I don't really like it that much. Absol, I think, is a little bit underrated. base 115 speed isn't the best thing ever, but it's faster than most of the other megas on this list. It also gets really insane coverage, like some of the best coverage I think I've ever seen on a Pokemon in general. So it can do anything you need it to. Its issue is just that it's frail, but even in those terms, a lot of other dark types that are offensive are quite frail, if you think about it. And speaking of frail dark types, we got Sharpedo, which I'm going to put, I think, above Absol. Because Sharpedo is one of those mons you can actually use with speed boost before Mega Evolving, and then you Mega Evolve, you get the Strong Jaw, Psychic Fangs, Liquidation, Strong Jaw, Crunch, and Flip Turn, I believe it gets, which is pretty nice. Even if you Flip Turn out after Mega Evolving, like, you still have base 105 speed, and its defenses aren't the worst thing ever. Like, you'll live a Sucker Punch. Actually, the thing with Sharpedo is you resist, like, 3 of the 4, like, priority types that come to my mind. So when I think of priority, I think of Aqua Jet. You resist Aqua Jet, you resist Bullet Punch, and you resist Sucker Punch. Only thing is you don't resist Mach Punch or Vacuum Wave. Kind of meh. But regular Sharpedo can even, like, Suicide take a hit in a way, and you also get Destiny Bond, which is nice on a speed boosting mon. So Sharpedo's cool, and I kind of want to try Sharpedo at some point. We'll see. Slowbro. I'm gonna put Slowbro at the top of C. I know that I have a lot of C tiers, but trust me, it gets filled out a little bit better later on. It's just worse than regular Slowbro, Slowking. Like Slowking, Glowking, they're gonna regen out with Chilly Reception. They can even set up Hail for like the Snow Sweepers, which is cool. Regular Mega Slowbro though, like, it just loses regen. Shell Armor is nice, and like base 180 defense is really nice. You can start setting up Calm Minds, and low key, if your opponent isn't running status spam, they just probably won't be able to beat Slowbro because you just can't break it. But the issue is you have to actually deal with statuses now. Like, if you're facing a Mega Slowbro, you're most likely going to face a lot of special attacking mons that kind of break through you. Even after like a +1, they can still kind of break through you. You're still going to be facing toxic spam. If you can maybe switch the thing in on like a Scald and get burned or something, then sure. On paper, Mega Slowbro sounds unbeatable, but it just doesn't play that way. Same with Mega Sableye. I'm actually going to put this D tier. It's going to be the bottom of D tier at the end of this. Mon just kind of sucks. Stall is not good in this gen. If you run Stall, you're pretty much bound to go like 1-8 for the season. And on regular teams, Sableye just doesn't have a place. Magic Bounce is nice, but like base 50 HP with like middling 105 defense, not that great. It can't even hold an item. It doesn't get regen, like Toxapex, for example. It is a little bit stronger offensively than like some of the regen stall mons, for example, but no one is using Sableye seriously. Excuse me. Gardevoir, I'm gonna put it at the bottom of B tier. I think I originally was gonna put this C tier, but I do think it's a little bit stronger on the like fairy side. If you're comparing this like Tapu Lele, for example, Tapu Lele clicks Spec Psychic, for example. Gardevoir though, like, you get the Pixelate boosted Hyper Voice, which kind of acts as like an item in a way. Like, what is a 1.2 times boost? It's kind of like holding a Pixie Plate in a way. In fact, basically, you're running a Pixie Plate at all times, which is kind of cool. But I mean, you can't really run Choice Scarf. I think Gardevoir, does Gardevoir not get agility, or is, I know Glade does, but I feel like Gardevoir doesn't for some reason. If Gardevoir gets agility, that's like something worth considering in the future for me, but I don't know, it's like super weak to Bullet Punch. Even on the like a physically defensive side, it doesn't want to take like sucker punches either. Um, so it's kind of weak to priority and just like being outsped by Scarfs or just like a regular Mons at this point, just outspeed Gardevoir. It's not the bulkiest thing in the world. You can run it bulky though, but if you're running it bulky, then it's probably not going to hit hard enough for whatever preps for you. So that's my take. Beedrill, I'm actually going to put like between Aggron and Steelix. I think Beedrill is just one of those Mons. If you can draft it with like a good electric type maybe, it just kind of traps you in that vortex of U-turn and Volt Switch. And if you predict them to click U-turn anyways, like you're going to die because U-turn hits so hard off of that adaptability based 145 attack. Biggest issue with Beedrill is just being weak to hazards, and its offensive typing isn't great. Bug Poison's like one of the weakest offensive typings ever, but it does get good coverage with like Drill Run, Knockoff, and just being able to U-turn and pivot out kind of makes up for a lot of its weaknesses. I think Beedrill's a really fun mon. Kangaskhan's kind of reliable, so I'm going to put this in B tier just because it's pretty reliable, but it typically Seismic Toss power-up punches banned on it anyways, so you're not going to get a lot of use out of it. What else? It's pretty fat. You can use it as a Wish Passer. I think Wish overall is just not a good move in this gen anymore. If you're spending a lot of time clicking Wish Pass, like it better be from like Alomola or Umbreon or Screamtail. Like those are like the acceptable Wish Passers, I think. Most other Wish Passers just kind of suck because they're wishing for themselves, and if you are wishing for yourself, you're probably missing that recover PP instead. Well, no, not PP, because Wish has more PP, but I think move slots is what I'm looking for. Because Wish Protect takes 2 move slots. You also don't get Heal Bell, and a lot of Wish Passers like running Heal Bell as well. So it doesn't really work as like a cleric in any way. Zard Y, I'm gonna put it B tier. It's a fire flying type that can't run boots. That's also not very fast. You also can't run Hurricane because you're in the sun. But Fire Blast, Solar Beam, kind of all it needs anyways. So I can't really doubt it too much offensively. It's just sucky that it can't really use Flying Stab. It can't hold an item. As a Sunsetter, I think you'd rather use Torkoal or Ninetales. Ninetales can Baton Pass out. Torkoal can Rapid Spin, set up Stealth Rock. Charizard just can't really do that much, and you really have to baby it. Just doesn't really work as a Sunsetter either. It just abuses its own sun. Which, I think if it's abusing its own sun, I think it's fine, but don't use it as like a Sunsetter. Zard X I'm going to put in A tier. Good Dragon Dancer. It's pretty similar to Gouging Fire. Tough Claws kind of acts as like an item in a way. Still can't run boots like Gouging Fire can, but you're like overall you're a little bit stronger than Gouging Fire, base of 130 attack as opposed to 115. Plus Tough Claws boosts a lot of your stronger moves like Dragon Claw, Outrage, Flare Blitz, which is kind of weird. I feel like Tough Claws should only boost like scratching moves, but Charizard doesn't really get a lot of scratching moves other than like Dragon Claw. They should make like a fire move, like I think like Fire Lash might fall under that type of thing, but Fire Lash is more like a whip, isn't it? It's not like a claw. I don't know. Glade, I'm gonna put at the bottom of A tier. Sharpness Glade is just better, I think. Regular Mega Glade kind of has to click close combat all the time, and when you click close combat, you weaken your defenses, and if you're gonna weaken your defenses, like -1 Glade is probably less bulky than regular Glade. A regular Glade can hold an item if you wanted to make it bulky. But regular Glade just like is just more reliable with Psycho Cut and Sacred Sword. It's also stronger. I think Sacred Sword's like what, base 130? Or like base 135 base power. Psycho Cut like 105 as opposed to Zen Headbutt 80. Close Combat 120. And you get stronger coverage moves like Night Slash and Leaf Blade. So, yeah, Sharpness Glade I think is just better. And if you're gonna use a fighting psychic type Mega Evolution, just use Metacham. And there's so many other fighting types to use in the top tiers, like Sneasler, and a bunch of other psychic types like the Lottie Twins, Slowbro, Necrozma. You know, just a lot of psychic types in the top tiers, and Glade I feel like just doesn't have that big of a role anymore. Blastoise, I'm gonna put this above Slowbro. Issue with Blastoise is, again, can't hold an item. Can't run Shell Smash, so you get a lot less utility out of Mega Blastoise than you do with regular Blastoise. Regular Blastoise can Shell Smash, can run Boots. It can run Rocky Helmet, Leftovers, Resto Chesto. Mega Blastoise, though, like, you're kind of just clicking Water Pulse, Dark Pulse, Aura Sphere, Dragon Pulse, Rapid Spin, which is technically a worse Rapid Spinner than Mega Blastoise, and you're running Flip Turn as well. But you are a little bit bulkier, which is nice, so if you can keep the hazards away, then, like, sure, Mega Blastoise works, like, it takes hits better than regular Blastoise, but regular Blastoise just kind of has more utility. Gyarados, though, is a cool Mega. Pretty fun. Dragon Dance. As a Water Dark typing, it's pretty unique compared to the other ones. The other ones are pretty frail, and Gyarados is pretty fat. Its speed tier is an issue because you're usually going to be using this as a Dragon Dancer. But you could also use this as like a Mold Breaker. Like, you can run like Earthquake to hit Rotom, for example, so you don't lose the Rotom Wash. And it's pretty defensive, so you can run it defensively. Even regular Gyarados has Intimidate, so you get utility out of whether or not you're gonna Mega Evolve or not. So I think that's cool. Mega Altaria, I'm gonna put at the bottom, or I'm sorry, the top of E tier. It gets a lot of utility in this gen. They gave it Wisp. They even gave it Brave Bird, which I think is nice, which, I mean, like, Mega Altaria is not going to make a lot of use out of Brave Bird, but you theoretically could, I guess. Again, Pixelate, Hyper Voice, Body Slam. Body Slam pair is actually pretty reliable with Altaria from when I used Altaria, and it has a unique typing, like, literally only Altaria has it. And it walls Chi-Yu, and I think if you wall Chi-Yu, like, you have a niche in this meta. Still gets Dragon Dance, still gets Cotton Guard, and just a bunch of coverage moves, along with just, like, all-around good stats, like, what, 80 HP, 80 speed, and everything else is, like, a little bit over 100, like 105, 110 on all of its stats. Like, that's still pretty decent. It's just not like a huge threat or anything. It's just kind of like a bulky pivot in a way. And I kind of wish they gave it like U-turn, but they're too pussy to do that. Garchomp, I'm gonna put Garchomp below Scizor. I'm actually gonna put this below Zardex because Garchomp is just most people would rather just use a regular Garchomp. Mega Garchomp, though, is a little bit bulkier. Doesn't get Rough Skin, though, so you're not getting a lot of use out of, like, Rocky Helmet Rough Skin getting chipped down for you. But the Swords Dance Scale Shot is still true to this mob. It's low-key kind of unstoppable. Even things that stop it, like bulky Slowbros, you can run Draco into Earthquake, and I believe that kills. So, like, being able to use your special attack stat is just kind of nice. It makes it not as weak to, like, Burn, for example. So I have to respect Garchomp for that. And plus, you can use Mega Garchomp as, like, a dual spiker. Or, not a dual spiker, but a spiker and a rocker. Kind of nice. Lopunny, I think, is another A tier. I'm going to put this above Glade because it's actually fast. And it gets a lot of coverage. Lopunny's biggest weakness, though, is triple axle, which I believe Glade also gets, but Glade has other... I don't know, Glade has better moves that hit without having to use triple axle. Whereas Lopunny, like, you're only going to be running normal fighting stab plus, like, axle U-turn. Maybe slotting in a power-up punch there, or, like, a fake-out, or a quick attack. It's kind of all it does. And it's just weak to Rocky Helmet. Camera up, I'm going to put this... I'm putting this above Sableye. I've seen Mega Camerupt, like, cook people alive, quite literally. It's kind of bulky... Not really, but it's bulky enough to take a hit, and if it can take a hit, it's usually going to kill something. It works pretty well on Trick Room, it works well as a mon that walls Tapu Koko, and I think because the Paradox mons exist now, like, having something that can deal with the terrain setter is just kind of nice. I mean, hell, it deals with the Sun Setter too, like, it just deals with the Paradox mon setters. Koko, Torkoal, Zardex, or not Zardex, Zard Y to an extent, Ninetales, Pikamuku, not Pikamuku, Pincurchin, same thing. Glalie, I'm gonna put at D tier. It's just kind of only good to click refrigerate boosted moves. Its stats aren't even really that strong for like an offensive mon. It's just its ability that carries it, like base 120 on either of its attack sets. Pretty nice, but it just it's too slow. It's not very defensive. It's pretty frail. It's weak to hazards, weak to being outsped. I do think it gets Trailblaze though, so I was kind of like gassing him up last year, but I never got the chance to use Glalie. I do think Glalie works as a good low tier mega though. You could use it as like a spiker. Kind of cool. Houndoom I'm actually going to put at like the bottom of B tier. Now hear me out. Houndoom, every time I see it get drafted, which is like maybe twice ever, Mom gets like 2 6-0s every season. Which I think is just kind of insane. Like, I don't know. It only needs like Fire Dark coverage. It gets Flame Charge to boost its speed. It's fast enough to where it only really needs a +1 rather as opposed to +2 like a lot of other mons. I don't know. I've just seen this thing get 6 kills in a single game like 5 times. It just does very good at that. I would say though, it's only worth it if you're grabbing it kind of cheap, like 7 points. Maybe 7 or 8 points. But like anything higher, I wouldn't draft it. I also wouldn't use this thing on Sun. Abomasnow, another D tier mega. I think I'd rather use regular Abomasnow as a snow setter. And if you're thinking of setting snow, G-King is like the way to go. Or even like regular Slowking is the way to go. And if you don't want to use one of the Slow Twins, you use Alolan Ninetales. As an offensive snow sweeper, as in clicking buttons like Blizzard, use Aurorus. Like for real. Aurorus has just more reliable moves. Unfortunately, Aurorus doesn't have like Power Gem, but it can run an item. You can Terrasilize it, and most of the time you can Terrasilize it pretty cheaply. Abomasnow though, like, you're using your Mega on Abomasnow, and while it's kind of good in Trick Room, and like, if you can get it in to take a hit and like click Blizzard or Woodhammer, like, it'll get good kills. Like, Grass Ice is pretty good offensively. It's just a worse option than like regular Abomasnow usually. Because regular Abomasnow can hold an item like Boots. And if you don't want to run Boots on Abomasnow, you can run Choice Specs. Ice doesn't, like, there's no there's no ice immunity, so you can always just spam Blizzard. Ampharos, I'm gonna put at the top of D tier, yeah. It's just a good offensive typing with good coverage that can kind of handle some of its weaknesses. It gets Energy Ball, right? I think so. I think it gets Energy Ball. So it handles like the water ground types usually. If it doesn't do that, I know it gets Trailblaze, which you don't want to use its offensive attack stat, but it can. But if you're boosting speed, you would want to run Agility because Trailblaze just isn't fast enough. But it's pretty strong. Dragon typing is nice on it. Takes hits. Mold Breaker. I don't know if this mon gets a lot of use out of Mold Breaker, but it might. Manectric, though, I'm gonna put at the bottom of C tier. I know it's weird to see Latios and Zam down here. I just think they're not good. Manectric is kind of just there to click Thunderbolt and Flamethrower, and like that's literally all it can do. But it does it really well, I think. I believe it also gets like Hyper Voice, so it can break subs, or it can go through subs without having to break them, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I don't know. Manectric kind of nice. Pretty fast Volt Switcher with Intimidate. Can't really go too wrong with it, but it's also not that great, and most of the time you'd rather use other electric types like Electrode, Hisui, Raichu, even like Raikou. I think most people would rather use Raikou, because Raikou at least gets like Scald and an Aura Sphere. But Manectric is kind of stuck with just electric and fire coverage. Aerodactyl I'm going to put like here, probably here actually, because Rock Flying is not a good defensive typing. It is unique though, and it is really fast, so it's not really going to miss out on that Choice Scarf type thing, especially if it can Dragon Dance. And Tough Claws is really strong with it. Is it Tough Claws or is it Strong Jaw? I think it's Tough Claws. But it gets good moves to pair with Tough Claws, like Dual Wing Beat. So that's pretty cool. It's just a Dragon Dancer though, and I don't really have much else to say about it. Banette sucks. Don't use it. I drafted it last year. Someone else has drafted it in SDS last year after it was literally -1 points to draft it. It still got dropped. I'm not even fucking joking with you. It still got fucking dropped on its face. I said when I dropped it too, this mon just is worse than Crocolore. Crocolore is a better Whisper. Crocolore is fatter. Banette though, the unique thing about Banette though is that it can run like Pincer Destiny Bond. That's kind of all it can do though, which is unfortunate because it has really good offensive stats, like 165 or 175 attack with Ghost typing, and it's a Ghost type with Gunk Shot and Knockoff too, and it gets really good setup moves like Calm Mind if you want to run Calm Mind set, Cotton Guard if you want to kind of become bulky. It's just, if you're gonna do that, then it struggles to do anything else because it has 4 move slot syndrome. So yeah, I'm not gonna dwell on that too much longer. Audino's kind of meh. Most of the time you want your fairy to actually resist fighting, but it is a Pult answer. It's a really good dragon check in general. And it's bulky enough to like take the coverage moves that a lot of dragons get, like Iron Head for example. So it's pretty decent at that, but its problem is like, would you rather just draft another fairy type and like use regular Audino with regen Wish? I think regular Audino is still an acceptable Wish passer. It's pretty passive, but you can just Wish and switch with Audino. So if you can like pivot it in and not get threatened out, like I would rather use regular Audino. But like I said earlier, Wish is just not good anymore, I don't think. Unless you're like a premier Wish passer like Al Momola, who's just so much better in this gen. Pincer has a lot of the same issues as zardy. I'm actually gonna put it above zardy though, because it's a little bit cheaper. But the cool thing with Pincer is like it's just so strong. And usually when you bring in Pincer, you're only gonna bring it in like once, and it's not actually bug flying until you Mega Evolve. So its huge rock weakness isn't that bad. It's just you have to position it in to the point where you can actually get off a sword stance. Because you are typically going to want a sword stance before you do anything else. It is strong at just clicking like return, quick attack, and like earthquake, stone edge, X scissor. Like it can do that kind of shit like by itself. I think it gets close combat too, but it wants to get off a sword stance before it does anything. But it is gonna stay in usually. Like I don't really see Pincer switch out ever. It's just gonna stay in and break shit until whatever lives the quick attack and dies. So like usually what happens with Pincer is it cleans up endgame, and if it's not cleaning up endgame, it breaks midgame. Like it'll kill whatever it's switching in on, and then it'll get off a big quick attack and die. And I think that's better than people give it credit for. Septile, I'm gonna put like here. I think people underestimate Septile. Grass Dragon is a decent offensive typing. It's kind of, I don't know, like you can't really touch steel types too well, but it does get like Earthquake, and you can run Sword Stance. It's really fast. I forgot what its ability was. Is its ability like Mold Breaker or something? No, it's Lightning Rod. So you can switch it onto any electric type, which is cool. It already 4 times resists electric anyways. But Lightning Rod, like you get that special attack boost, which is cool. And you're very fast. You also get Trailblaze just in case, I believe. So it's not like you're missing out on like Unburdened Septile sets, but you're just using your Mega on the Septile. I don't know if the thing is bulky either, but I have seen Mega Septile like kind of cook teams alive. I know I've lost to Mega Septile before, like I just didn't have a switch in and it was faster than my entire team. So I can't really shit on that mon ever. MWhile, I'm gonna put MWhile here. I do not like MWhile, just for the record, but I do have to admit, like, MWhile is kind of decent. It's just very fat with Player Rough Iron Head, Sucker Punch. It gets good coverage moves like Fire Fang to beat Scissor. Works pretty well in Trick Room. It's also kind of fun, even though it's kind of broken. Like, it's one of those broken mons that's, like, fun to use. Sometimes. It just depends on, like, who you are, because some people really don't like MWhile. Like, I don't like MWhile, personally. But I did use MWhile, like, kind of recently. Even though I kind of dropped it, because I was having some mental breakdown issues by having it. But I have to respect MWhile as a Mega. Do I need to put it this high, though, actually? Because I feel like it was undrafted a lot. I'm going to put this kind of low. I'm going to move Garchomp here. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that, maybe. That looks good. Issue with MWhile that I have is it's kind of slow otherwise, and again, base 50 HP. You also can't switch it in until it Mega Evolves. Like, sure, I guess Intimidate's fine as like a regular MWhile, but that mon literally has like base 380 stat total. So you're not gonna want to switch it in. T-Tar, I'm gonna put T-Tar B tier. I'm gonna put this with Zam and Lattos, because kind of like with Zam and Lattos having just like better Psychic types to use. Mega T-Tar is just outclassed by regular T-Tar. Kind of similar to Garchomp, but the difference with Garchomp is Mega Garchomp actually does different things than regular Garchomp. Mega T-Tar is literally the same mon as T-Tar, but with a Mega Stone. It is faster though, so you do get a little bit better out of Dragon Dance. Because I feel like regular T-Tar after a Dragon Dance is not outspeeding a lot of stuff, but Mega T-Tar, like, you can outrun like Torn T and shit after a Dragon Dance, and I think that's like the things that outspeeds compared to regular T-Tar is like worth actually drafting Mega T-Tar over. But as a Sand Setter, just use regular T-Tar, even Gigalith, because at least they can run like the Sand Rock, whatever it's called. Don't really have anything else to say about T-Tar though. I don't really see Mega T-Tar that much. Swampert is, I think, better in Gen 9. Honestly. Because it's a unique mon with Swift Swim. And because its attack set is so high compared to regular Swampert, and it's pretty defensive too. Regular Swampert like only runs Rindo Berry or Leftovers. I don't really see regular Swampert run anything else. I guess sometimes you can see Citrus Berry with like bulk up sets, but offensively Mega Swampert is a lot better than like bulk up Swampert. Even like base Mega Swampert is stronger than regular Swampert, I think. Because you're in the rain, obviously. Like rain, like Liquidation, Flip Turn, Earthquake, you're just destroying like everything. So I can't really fault Mega Swampert. I think it's a lot better this gen. If you're gonna draft like a hard rain team, like Pelly, Mega Swampert, Basculegion, Overquill, really good. Basculegion being on rain teams is just like super great because you can run female, so you have that special attacking water as opposed to just physical. But you could also just go full physical because like male Basculegion in the rain with like Choice Band adaptability, Wave Crash just does not have a switch in that isn't a water immunity. I would show a calc if I wasn't lazy, but yeah. But you could also run Swift Swim Basculegion, but this video isn't about Basculegion, unfortunately. Venusaur, I'm actually going to put that at the bottom of A tier. There was a time I thought Mega Venusaur was like kind of mid, but honestly, while it's a Mega, I don't think I'd use that often anymore because it is a little bit weak to like landing on Stealth Rock and spikes. It's just like if you can keep hazards up the field, which isn't too hard sometimes, it just sits there and like it clicks Leech Seed and Sleep Powder. It's really strong off of base 122 or 123 special attack. Gets good moves, and you can still run this in the sun with Growth as like a fat mon, like Growth Weather Ball, Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb. Like that still hits extremely freaking hard. I don't think you should draft Mega Venusaur on some teams. You should just draft Venusaur and do like Terra Venusaur. Because if you're doing a Sun team, I think you're best off running Terra Venusaur over than like a high tier, if that makes sense. But Mega Venusaur still has its place in this meta, and I think it's pretty good. Being a grass type that is only weak to Flying and Psychic, because you lose that Ice and Fire weakness. Which is pretty annoying, by the way. Like this, the mon's just super hard to kill. And hard to prep for. Now the elephant in the room. Mega Diancie. What should I do with Mega Diancie? What do I think of Mega Diancie? I'm not actually putting it in F tier. I really want to though. I really want to. This Mega Diancie is the reason I'm making this video. So when you're thinking about Mega Diancie, you're a mon that is base 110 speed, very weak to Aqua Jet, very weak to Bullet Punch, very, very weak to Bullet Punch. You can't Terra it, you lose defense, you gain speed, which is kind of cool, but you get Rock Polish regardless. You gain like base 60 on both of its attack stats, which is kind of nice. But it's okay because regular Diancie can click Calm Mind and Draining Kiss, and because it's so defensive, you're just healing back more from Draining Kiss than you are from taking the damage itself, usually. Yeah, I'd just rather use regular Diancie. I mean, of course, I would rather use Mega Diancie over regular Diancie without Terra, but Terra Diancie is cheaper. It doesn't use your Mega slot, and as you can see, I personally think there's a few Megas that are actually worth drafting. Anything above, like, the Blastoise, I think is worth drafting. Even some of these other ones are, like, kind of worth drafting. I should probably move Sharpedo up, maybe. Like, these are worth drafting. These are fun Megas, usually, except Scissor. Diancie, though... Yeah, I'm gonna put this, like, B tier. Shit on me all you want. Mega Diancie does not perform well for me. I faced this thing 10 million times. I've never lost to Mega Diancie. Or, did I lose to Mega Diancie once? I actually think I did lose to Mega Diancie once, but it's because it crit Moonblast me, like, 3 times in a row. With the special attack drop, like, legit crit, like, twice in a row. Got the special attack drop, like, 3 times in a row. And that's just getting lucky. Without getting lucky, it's just not good. Just use Terra Diancie. And, yeah. That is this video. As you can see, I think there's only one S tier Mega. Other ones are pretty close. Scissor is really close to S tier. But I would rather not use most of these Megas. And hopefully some of you kind of agree with me that some of these are just not that great. Some of them are really fun. I think most of the B tier and the C tier Megas are like really fun ones to use. With like the A tier, the S tier one being like the tryhard Megas. And then you have Mega Banette if you hate yourself, I guess. Yeah. I'm gonna leave it there. Yeah, feel free to have a discussion in the comments or like an SDS what you think about Mega Evolution. I just think it's kind of unnecessary in the National Dex format. There's just other better mons to use. Even within like the A tier, like I said, regular Scissor is probably more worth drafting than Mega Scissor. Like just examples like that. And because they can't hold items, they just lose a lot of viability. Holding an item in Gen 9, I think, is a lot more important than people think, like people assume it is, compared to like Gen 6. It's mostly because of boots, but there's more boot saturation now, and there's also a lot of hazards now. Everything in their grandma got Stealth Rock, so you have to consider that when you're drafting a Mega. Like, is it worth coming in and taking 25% from rocks and then barely not killing back just to get like O-code because power creep is just that strong? Like, there's a few Megas on here, like they're not gonna get O-code, but a lot of them are because of the hazard chip that they're gonna take. You know. I would have liked to actually get another person on this, but This is like my third or fourth attempt trying to record this, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. At exactly 50 minutes.